Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. First meeting of 2023. So, um, I welcome everyone on behalf of Manhattan Meditation Center and Peace Village Retreat and Learning Center, and extend the greetings of the new year on behalf of our organization. Very glad that you are joining us. So before we start today's topic, very quickly, just the same housekeeping things I mentioned, that the recordings of this Thursday talk and the previous ones are available on our YouTube channel. I will post the link of the channel in chat in a few minutes. We offer live meditation, Power Boost from Monday to Friday at noon time. We encourage you to join it, and recordings of that meditation are also available on our YouTube channel if you're interested in just meditating on your own. We will be starting the meditation courses again from the month of Feb. So please keep an eye on the dates. We have posted them on our website. Block your dates, mark it in your calendar so you don't miss out. We also have started the podcast service by Manhattan Meditation Center. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify as well as on Apple Podcast platform. We have discussions and short meditations in our podcast service. So whatever your interest, you can just listen to that when you're driving, you're walking, you're jogging. We try to provide as much material as possible so you stay connected with us and with yourself. So today's topic, a fresh start. I know we talk about fresh start, generally when the new year is starting, everyone wants to make some resolutions. It's kind of customary thing or a buzzword, and people ask, what is your resolution and all? But as you might have read in a description, what we have posted, or even the flyer, right? Every day is a fresh start. So the concept, what we kind of imbibe and try to practice in Brahma Kumaris is that every moment, every day is a new day. And every day we start with that enthusiasm and zeal that it is a fresh start. I'm going to invite Sister Judy Rogers to share her thoughts on today's topic. Welcome, Sister Judy. Hope you're feeling better.
I am, Anita. Thank you for asking.
Happy New Year on behalf of everyone.
Happy.
And just one final request to the audience, if you can turn on your cameras, if it's possible. We'd love to see your lovely faces.
It's always nice to talk to you as opposed to talking to your name. So thank you, Amrit. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Susan. Much appreciated. It's nice to really chat with you. So, gosh, what I'm thinking tonight is, thanks, Sean. What I'm thinking tonight is similar to what last week. What I want to do is first, I want to talk about the secular, the normal way we think about this. And then I want to talk about the sacred. Is that all right with you? We'll do kind of chapter 1, chapter 2. So first, I think it's useful to just be aware of what creatures of habit we are. I don't know about you, but when I'm in meetings, if I have the same meeting with the same people, several sessions, do you notice how wherever someone sat in the first session, they go back to the same chair, as if that chair had been assigned to them, right? And if you go in and someone's sitting in your chair, you're like, what are you doing there? That was my chair, right? Even though nobody asked you to sit there, right? So quickly we form these habits. There's probably 3 or 4 or 5 different ways to go where you're going when you're driving, to go to work or to go to the store, whatever. But you notice you get your same favorite route and you tend to go that same way. And I mean, unless there's a big traffic problem or whatever, you keep that same way. And it's the same thing with our attitudes about people in our lives. And here it's a little more, the first two don't matter much, but we have certain people in our lives and we have sort of an attitude about them, you know? I mean, we see them come in and we kind of roll our eyes in our head and we go, all right, here we go, you know, and we know how they're going to behave, right? We're just certain that they're going to be argumentative as usual, or they're going to be critical as usual, or they're going to tell you all the things wrong with them as usual, whatever their usual behavior. And we hold that idea of them. So we expect them to behave that way each time. So even if they did change, we might not even notice because we're so sure that they're going to show up the way they showed up. So we are real creatures of habit. And of course, things like, and we talked about this last week, things about being late. Some of us are just always a little bit late, right? We're just always 10 or 15 minutes late. We may plan to get there on time, but regardless of our plan, we're late. Or we carry extra weight. We want to lose weight. We'd like to weigh less, but actually we don't really do that. So we're very habitual. And the more we do something the same way, the deeper the habit becomes. There's actually a word for this in Hindi. The word is sanskara. Sanskara. What it means is it's a habit, a pattern in the soul. So and of course they can be very fundamental to the personality. Some people have a sanskara of anger. They're just always kind of ready to blow up, no matter what happens. It doesn't take much. Some people have a sanskara of fear. They walk into a place and they are afraid. Right out of the gate, they're feeling afraid. Or worry or whatever, right? All of these are patterns inside of us. And you've heard people say, you know, people don't really change. Have you heard people say that? Yeah, people don't really change, right? But actually we can change. I know because I have changed, and I know people who have changed in profound ways. So you can change. You can create habits. You can create newness. And so how do we go about that? So I want to, like I say, let's talk first about the thing you would expect. Let's talk about the mundane, the regular secular approach to this subject. So you have to first recognize, I want to change. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to have this same attitude about my sister-in-law. I don't want to continue to be out of money. I don't want to continue to be unhealthy. Right? That's a big one for January, right? I'm tired of being late, whatever. So first you have to have the recognition that you want to make a change. And then after the recognition, you need a clear vision of what you want, not what you don't want. All right. Some of us say, I don't want to be late anymore. That is not a plan, right? To be on time is you have to articulate where you're going, not what you don't want. So if you're going to show up differently in some way, you're going to be on time, you're going to be in better shape, you're going to have a different relationship with your sister-in-law, whatever. You have to have the vision of that. And there's actually quite a bit of research that says that the more clear the vision, the higher the probability that you can actually make that change. So it's a pretty well articulated vision. And of course, the extreme of this, you know, people put pictures on their refrigerators, right? here's what I'm going to look like when I lose 30 pounds, or they put affirmations on the refrigerator, on the mirror, wherever people do these things to remind them of what they're doing. You have to really check your determination, because to kind of want something and then not really act on it, you lose your self-respect when you do that, right? Because you let yourself down. And each time you make a halfway plan and you let yourself down, then you feel bad, right? And then you have a judgment on yourself. I'm not going to get this. I know I never really get around to this stuff. I'm not going to really do it this time. You have a negative judgment on the self. So you have to check your determination. If you don't have enough determination to do it, better not to make a half effort. Wait until you do have the determination. Don't kind of halfway do it and then say, oh, see, I disappointed myself again. Or your children or your family says, you're not going to do this. This is what you said last year. And you say, I know, but I'm going to try. But you don't really try, right? So you have to really check your determination, because this is an aspect of self-respect. And to let yourself down too many times is its own pattern, right? It's its own samskara. I'm somebody who lets myself down. So don't let that happen. You have to check your determination. Then you need a bit of a plan. What are you going to do differently tomorrow morning? I mean, if you're changing your if you're going to lose weight, then you're going to buy something different at the grocery, right? And you're going to cook something different when you get home. So you have to have like a plan. If you're going to change your relationship with your sister-in-law, you have to say, okay, what's that going to look like? When my sister-in-law opens her mouth and starts criticizing me, what's my plan? What am I going to say? How am I going to be different the next time this happens? So you actually have to have a plan. Wanting it is not enough. Even wanting it with determination is not enough. You have to really have a thought here. All right, how am I going to go about this? What's my program? What's my plan here? Then you have to have a commitment as you go about it. You stay really committed to this thing. That means that the day when you get up and you say, oh, you know what, I don't feel like going to the grocery and going shopping. Let me just fall back here on the Cheetos I have in my cupboard and, order something carry out. No, you've got to have this level of commitment to this so that you're planning ahead. So even if you don't feel strong in that moment, you actually have that extra commitment that, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get up and go and get the thing I need to eat. I'm going to go ahead and go to the trouble to make that thing. Or I've got something, a healthy backup food that's not quite as hard to do. Or with my sister-in-law, I'm not sure I'm strong enough today. I'm just going to tell her I need to see her tomorrow instead of today. So you have to keep your commitment, right? It's easy to make the plan, but it's a lot harder when you're actually in it. And then, so as you make progress, day 1, day 2, week 3, week 4, you have to keep checking and saying, how am I doing? How am I doing on this? Am I really making progress? And if you are making progress, you have to really congratulate yourself for that. Say, good job. That's great. I'm really making a change here. And the people around you ideally will cheer you on as well. Good job. Look at you. I can see the difference in you. I can feel the difference in you. So that newness, that commitment, etc. So this is the basic approach to change, right? This is kind of what you would normally do. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's okay. If that's what you do, that is great. It's great, and you should count it as a success. But I want to take us to a little bit of a deeper level spiritually. So from a spiritual perspective, there are three significant energies in the world. There's the energy of creation. There's the energy of sustenance. And there's the energy of destruction. And if you're going to make a change, you need to have mastery in all three. So let's think about that. So the energy of creation is an energy of newness. It requires a kind of purity. It requires a kind of, you might say, a kind of lightness. If your mind or your heart is filled with a lot of things from the past, I've always done it this way. This is the way my family works. Nope, that guy never gets it together. He'll never get it together. That kind of energy, that kind of waste energy will block the energy of creation. You won't be able to create in that atmosphere. So what you need to understand, if you're actually cultivating the energy of creation, is there's a kind of purity about it. So it requires you to understand the difference in the kinds of thoughts you're having. So do you know the difference in the kind of thoughts you're having? So there's very negative thoughts, which are, I think you know what those are, right? Those are those are tied to dislike, jealousy, all that kind of stuff, right? Wanting to push back, violence, various forms of violence, anger, lashing out, all of that. Those are negative energies. Can't have any of those if you're going to work in the creative space. The second energy is what you might call waste. So if someone comes in front of you and you know that they're behaving badly, or you know that they have historically behaved badly, you may have thoughts about them that says, this one, I know they're never going to get their act together. That's a waste thought. It's not quite down in the negative category. It's not destructive in that way, but it's a waste thought. And sometimes we have them about ourselves. I know I'm not going to be able to do this, right? I know that I'll do this the same as I always do it. I'll screw it up. Don't call on me because I'm terrible at public speaking, right? Whatever it is, we have those same waste thoughts about ourselves and other people. You can't have any of those when you're actually working with the energy of creation. Then there's ordinary thoughts. Ordinary thoughts are just that kind of stream of consciousness that the mind goes through all the time. It's replaying whatever happened this morning. It's replaying something it saw or heard or whatever. So it's just kind of stream of consciousness. It's a distraction. It's not in the negative category. It's not in the waste category, but it's a distraction. And so you don't want any of that when you're in the creative space either. So what kinds of thoughts and what kinds of feelings do you need if you're going to work in this creative space? You don't want negative thoughts. You don't want waste thoughts. You don't want ordinary thoughts. So you want positive thoughts. Positive thoughts are thoughts about generosity. They're thoughts about cooperation. They're thoughts and feelings. And let's put feelings in here because it's not just about thinking. Thoughts and feelings travel together. So feelings of love, feelings of kindness, thoughts and feelings of compassion, thoughts and feelings of empathy, of brotherhood, of trusteeship, of belonging, cooperation, upliftment. So when you're creating this kind of thought, this kind of feeling, you actually are generating a certain quality of field around you. Do you know what I'm talking about? Every thought and every feeling has a vibration. So a negative thought or feeling has a negative vibration. A waste thought and feeling has that kind of wasteful vibration. A positive thought and a positive feeling have a lighter vibration that is conducive to creation. It's like it opens a channel somehow around you, such that the energy of creation can come in. And then there's the most elevated thoughts, which are thoughts of the source or of the creator or God or whatever you call that one. Those are the most elevated thoughts. So thoughts in those last two categories, thoughts and feelings that are positive, thoughts and feelings that are elevated, are conducive to creating something new. And you can kind of feel that, right? I mean, I'm telling you something, but I think you already know this on some level. That if you think about whenever in your life you've had something very new that you valued, there was probably also some excitement around it. That's another kind of feeling that goes with this, contentment or excitement about it. So you have to notice your inner state and to what degree your inner state is in this creative mode. So this first energy is of creation. And so when you are creating something new, you first create the inner state that's going to allow you to create in the outer world. Creation is an inside-out proposition. Otherwise, you're just, the old saying goes, rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, right? If you're just out there changing physical things, but you haven't changed the atmosphere inside, then you won't be able to use the energy of creation. Do you understand? Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. So once you've created something, there are a number of people who are very good at starting things. They're excellent at beginnings, ribbon cutting ceremonies, launches, openings, etc. But then it comes to the sustenance part, and they're not so good. So what is this second energy? This energy of sustaining. So the energy of sustaining is also a very generous energy. You have to have a vision of appreciation for the thing you've created. Or if you're sustaining someone else, the thing they have created. So you see what's beautiful in it, you see what's valuable in it, you see what's worthy in it, and you donate your positive thoughts and your positive feelings to that thing. When you're working with the energy of sustenance or sustaining, there's no room for doubt. You can't let even a tiny bit of doubt come in, because doubt is a destructive energy. So you don't say, gosh, was this worth starting? I wonder, I don't know if this was ever a good idea. No, you don't go there. When you're sustaining something, it's like if you've got a little child, right? Or you've got a new puppy or something. What do? You keep giving it love. You keep giving it sustenance. You keep giving it nourishment. You keep giving it oxygen, fresh air, company, etc. So when you are sustaining something that's been created, it is all about what you can bring to this new thing. So you don't let any of those negative energies that I was talking about before, you don't let any negativity come in, you don't let any waste come in, you don't even let the distraction of the ordinary come in. When you're sustaining something, you create the atmosphere and the environment for it to flourish. And you do that over time. Now, for you to create that, you have to be in that state yourself, right? I mean, if you're depressed, how are you going to create an energy of sustenance? Or if you're sad, or if you're disappointed, or if you're whatever, you're not going to be able to create the energy of sustenance. So you have to keep yourself in that state if you're going to be able to create an energy of sustenance. You have to keep yourself nourished. You know, there's a lot of very good people who try to take care of others from a place of exhaustion themselves. That doesn't work. You know how that is, right? They're totally exhausted. They've extended, they've given and given and given and given and given, and they're absolutely exhausted, and they're trying to sustain others. You can't do that. You have to serve yourself before you serve anyone else. You have to. Otherwise, you will run out of energy trying to serve someone else. So you have to make your first priority your own nourishment, your own oxygen, your own kindness, your own space, your own tenderness, your own attention, your own appreciation. And if no one else appreciates you, then appreciate yourself even more. If you don't have anyone around you who's a sustainer, then you have to be doubly sustaining to yourself. Make sure that you get what you need, because only when you are feeling contented, happy, peaceful, loving, cared for, can you do that for anyone else. It's not possible to really sustain anybody when you're exhausted. So this sustenance business is really, really important. And I would say that not so many people are great at sustenance. Let me just do a little poll. You're just using the little reaction button at the bottom. How many of you think you're actually pretty good at sustaining yourself, taking care of yourself, making sure you're okay? Okay. Not seeing a huge, all right, Sean. All right. And Sean's companion, okay. All right, the both, okay. Susan, all right. So a couple of you, yeah, Kelly, I know what you mean. So this is important, Sharon, okay. I can't stress this enough, because the things that we're talking about, creating something new, sustaining a new creation, takes energy. You can't just have an idea. It takes energy. You have to, what's energy? Energy is the outpouring, the outpouring of positive vibrations from inside, right? It's that upswelling of zeal and enthusiasm. It's that sense of courage and determination and hope. Those things are resident in the true self, but we run out of them if we can't take care of ourselves. So the most important thing you can do for yourself, make your first commitment to take care of yourself. Whatever new thing you want to create, whatever new thing you want to sustain, first say to yourself, I am caring for myself this year. And you have to know what that means. That doesn't just mean I'm going to take myself to the spa, although that's a nice thing. But that's not a long-term thing, right? What are you going to do for yourself? You're going to give yourself some space. You're going to give your mind positive thoughts. You're going to remove the negative stuff. You're going to have hope. You're going to have contentment. You're going to have care for yourself. You're going to have faith. These are the things that take care of the self, not getting your nails done, right? I mean, really, really, you got to think about what is it that makes the self feel hopeful. Reading bad news every night before you go to bed? No. Bad idea. Don't do it. Give yourself the things that are going to make the true self feel hopeful and encouraged. Because you will not be able to work with the energy of sustenance if you don't do that. It will not work. You will become tired and exhausted. And then you'll feel defeated. I never can get this together. I always feel tired. Nobody cares. Nobody notices. Well, if they don't notice, that's their problem. You care for yourself. Don't wait around for someone else to notice. Don't wait around for your spouse or your mother or your whoever to notice that you need sustenance. Forget them. Let them care for themselves. You care for you. And you care for you in the deep ways I'm talking about. You give yourself the powerful thoughts and the powerful feelings to be able to keep yourself strong. Okay? You have to promise. You have to promise you're going to do this, right? Yeah. Don't give up on yourself. And don't try to help anybody else if you can't help yourself. You can eventually help them, but say to them, I'll be back. Right now, I have to take care of some more pressing business. And care for yourself. All right. Okay. So there's the energy of creation. We talked about that it needs this pure vessel. There's the energy of sustenance. And we've talked about how you have to sustain yourself first. Then you can sustain others. And then there's this third energy. This third energy is the energy of destruction. It is such a useful energy. Because what do we destroy? We destroy stuff that is no good. We destroy stuff that is rotten from the inside. We destroy stuff that's already falling apart inside. You know, a lot of us have lives that are filled with stuff that we just haven't cleaned out yet. You know, it's like it's sitting around, you open your closet and there's all these things in there that you meant to take to Goodwill or throw away or give away or sort or fold or whatever. And our minds are like that too, not just our closets. There's things sitting in our minds and hearts that do not belong there. And it's not innocent to have in your mind and in your heart old things, old memories, old habits, old jealousies or dislikes or disappointments or whatever, fills up the space that you would otherwise use for creation. And you know, we can get quite attached to these old stories. We can feel like someone doesn't really know us if they don't know our old stories. And we can tell them, you know what happened to me? When I was little, my mother didn't like me and she treated me badly. You know what else happened? And then you know what happened when I went to school? And you know what happened when I went to college? And you know what happened when I got a job? These bad things happen. And they tell you these things as if now you know me. Now you know all these bad stories. No, those bad stories are yesterday's news and you need to move them out. Now, they are a block to creation, the energy of creation, those old stories. So you have got to find a way. First, you have to notice that you've got things inside that are blocking you creating newness in your life. You have to recognize it, and then you have to begin to isolate it, and then you have to begin to move it out. And every time you hear yourself start to tell one of those stories, stop yourself immediately. Don't let yourself finish that story. If you hear yourself telling that story, immediately put a full stop and say to yourself, I am not going to repeat that one more time. That story about how I disappointed myself, that story about how somebody let me down, that story about how my family was a not good family, that story about the betrayal of people. Forget those stories. Those were other people doing things. They do not belong in your moment of creation. They will block your ability to create. And only you can move those stories out. Nobody else can get rid of your old stories, right? Because you lived them, you then saved them, you kept bringing them out and refreshing them. And now you've got them in a little box that says something like, this is who I really am. People who really know me know these stories. Okay, you have to throw that box away. And that's what the energy of destruction is. You go into your mind or you go into your heart, you get that box of those old stories and you take them out. Now, when you take them out, you can set fire to them if you want. You can put them in a mental dumpster. You can put them in a boat and float them down a river. You can attach them to a big balloon, but somehow you have to get those energies out, right? You have to remove these energies. And that's one way to think about that is destruction. You have to destroy them. They do not belong in your mind and heart. So what I'm talking about is not, it's simple, but it's not easy, right? There's nothing I've said to you that you don't already know. I think you are, I'm telling you things, I'm making you aware of things you already know. But what's really important is that you be able to act on it. Where are you going to get the power to do this? It's one thing to understand it. It's something else to have the power to act on it. Where are you going to get the power to act on it? This is where your meditation practice comes in, right? So with Raj Yoga meditation is fundamentally about becoming powerful. And powerful means that once I have a thought or an idea or make a commitment, that I have the power to do that. So if I want to remove something, some old story from my mind, I have the power to do that. I recognize when it comes up, I put a full stop to it and I move it to the side. That takes power. It's a kind of mastery. And so your meditation practice is what's going to give you the power to do that. It's going to give you all three powers: the power to create, that is to have the inner atmosphere of the positive and elevated thoughts and not the other thoughts, right? None of the waste thoughts, none of the negative thoughts, not even the ordinary thoughts. Power It will take power to do that. The power to create a sustaining atmosphere, that is to sustain myself and create that inner atmosphere of sustenance so I can sustain whatever was created, and the power to move out the things that need to go. So the soul, the true self, the soul, in its original state is very powerful. Very, very powerful. It has no problem doing what I'm describing to you. But the soul, over time, in attachment in different situations and relationships, the soul loses energy. The soul gets tired. And so it has trouble, right? It has trouble focusing. Other things kind of crowd in, and we don't have the kind of discernment and energy to move them out. So if you know that's the state you're in, then you have to say, all right, let me become powerful so that I can work with these three energies. Now, the most important thing with that is to be able to have a daily practice. You have to practice every single day, not when you feel good, or not just when you feel bad, not just when something went terribly wrong and now I really need to meditate, but every single day. Because your meditation practice isn't a band-aid, right? It's not something you apply when the world is unraveling. Your meditation practice is the ability, it gives you the capacity to become powerful. And once you're powerful, these energies become like second nature to you. You don't even have to think, now I'm going to use the creative energy. Now I'm going to use the sustenance energy. Now I'm going to use the destruction energy. It will come naturally to you because you'll have discernment. So with your practice, most of you, I'm going to guess, well, first, let me ask two questions. First, with your little reaction button, for how many of you is morning your best time? How many of you? Okay, so Sean, Amrit, Anita, Judy, Sharon, Darshana, Kelly. Okay, so I'd say 60% of you, morning is your best time. In most spiritual paths, that's the recommendation because the day is new, right? So the energies, and Susan, okay. So the energy of the day, the energies in the atmosphere have quieted down overnight. So not only is it your strongest time, but for most people, but also there's less interference from the atmosphere. Now, there are some people who kind of gain energy at night. Let me just ask, do any of you have that situation where you actually get stronger at night? Use your little reaction button and signal that. Okay, I don't see any of you doing that, so I'm going to presume no for that. So, I mean, you don't need to fight your own energy. If in fact that's your time, then you use your time. But for most people, it's morning. So if your practice is in the morning, when do you plan for it? The night before, right? Not when you wake up. You don't wake up and say, okay, now let me see. Do I want to meditate? What do I want to do here? No. The night before, you say, okay, tomorrow morning, I'm going to get up before anybody else. They all get up at 6, so I'm getting up at 5:30, or they all get up at 6:30, so I'm getting up at 6 o'clock. You plan for that. You figure out where you're going to sit. You might put some little inspirational thing there. You found something inspiring to read. You put it there. You might want a little candle there. You might want a cup of tea there, right? You make a plan the night before, and then you go to bed with that plan. Then when your alarm goes off, you go right there. Make yourself your cup of tea, light your candle, sit down, and give yourself that gift of that time. So there you are, you're sitting in your space, and what are you going to do? You're going to quiet your mind down, and you're going to become aware of your true self. not the personality. The personality is going to want to do stuff, right? Make lists for the day, etc. Don't let it do that. Say, okay, I'm going to do that later. Sit with the true self, the eternal self, the being inside who was originally very powerful, who is loving and peaceful and kind and patient and compassionate, all of those things. Sit with that one. Focus on the one thing you're going to want to bring forward today, which might be patience, it might be love. Bring that into your consciousness. Hold that in your awareness. No matter what else comes in, you hold that. And then in that space, locate yourself here. That's where this is the seat of the soul. And then connect up to the Creator, to the source. If you're not sure you're making a connection, I'm just not sure. I mean, I'm kind of there, I'm thinking that way, but I'm not sure. Don't worry about it. Make that your intention. I want to connect to the source. I want to connect to the light. And then you do that for as long as you've allowed yourself, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. If your mind wanders, bring it back. If a thought comes in, one of those negative thoughts, move it out, right? And then when the time is up, finish, right? Put your candle out, put your reading down, take your teacup, go to the sink. Thank you. Say to yourself, thanks. That was so good that I did that for myself. And then the next night, make the plan again for the next morning and get your life working like this. If you do this, you will feel a change within a week or two. If you do it every day, you will feel a change in a week or two. I'm not talking about something that takes you months and months. You will notice immediately. And you'll notice in lots of ways, but one of them is you will feel more peaceful. And another one is that you will feel more powerful. You will see that you can do these things we're talking about. If there's a thought you don't want to have, you will be able to stop the thought and move it out and replace it with a more powerful thought. Let me choose love. Let me choose friendship. Let me choose kindness. Let me choose good wishes, right? But you have to do this every day. Even if you found you woke up late or somebody surprised you when they got up and they weren't supposed to get up so early, you say to them, you know what? I'm going to meditate here for 10 minutes. You get your own breakfast, right? And then you give yourself that gift. Maybe instead of 20 minutes, you do 10, but you keep your commitment to yourself because that's part of what gives you power. Don't break your commitment to yourself. Keep your commitment to yourself. And once you do that, then what you'll notice is that things begin to get clearer. You begin to get stronger, more powerful. And then these energies that I'm talking about, the energy to create, the energy to sustain, the energy to destroy, become second nature. You don't have to work at it. It's not hard. All right, so I'm going to pause here for questions. And I see here we've got from Anita, I think. What about good stories of the past? No, keep those. Don't throw those out. Keep the good ones. Just throw out the bad ones. Oh, good stories from the past remind you of all of your strengths. So that's a good thing. Any other thoughts or questions or concerns or whatever? We've got a few minutes. You clear? You good?
Well, everyone is in deep thought. What energy to use, what to create.
Well, so I'll just add one little bit then, if you all are okay. And that is, actually, the Brahma Kumaris understand this time to be a very special time. We understand that at this particular time, which we call the confluence age, that there are two major energies at work. There is the energy, there's a descending energy as we go through time and we get tired. It's called entropy in physics, right? But the energy of wearing down, the energy of getting tired, that energy breaking down, that energy is at work in the world. And we can see that energy at work. It's very visible. The energy of breakdown is a very visible energy, very noisy, gets headlines, fractious, all of that. That's part of the energy, the descending energy. But there is also an ascending energy at work in the world right now. And we understand this to be the result of God's presence in the world in an unusual way. God's always available to the souls. But at this time, because it's a time of transformation, we understand this ascending energy to be very active in the world, very accessible, especially if you're meditating and keeping your mind clear. Then you can pick up the difference between these energies. And you know the difference, right? You know that if you lose your temper and get angry, you have just affiliated with the descending energy. And if you manage to be patient and kind, you've just affiliated with the ascending energy. Each of these energies creates a kind of pool or field. So there's two different, you might say two different big fields. There's a field of dark, heavy energy, and there's a field of light, ascending, pure, positive, powerful energy. This one is more noisy. This one is more powerful. With your meditation practice, what you are doing is you're developing the ability to be discerning about everything you say and do. Because whatever you say and whatever you do, even whatever you think, affiliates you with either this descending energy or this ascending energy. It has an impact on you because it brings you the power of the collective of that pool, and it widens that field or pool of energy. So it's not trivial. Everything you do, it shows up somewhere, right? Because we're vibrational beings. So the vibrations that we're putting out affiliate us with these fields of vibrations. So there's nothing more important right now than your meditation practice. Nothing. Not your job, not your diet, not your workout schedule, not the money in the bank. Nothing. Even not your family. Because honestly, if you preference your meditation practice, your family will benefit. If you preference your meditation practice, your work will benefit. If you preference your meditation practice, you'll financially benefit. I'm not saying meditate and go to the bank, but I'm just saying that the abundance you create will you'll feel it. You'll feel that there's more abundance. So it's the seed of your transformation. And it's the seed of world transformation. Because each of us contributes to that world out there. Actually, we have made that world through our thoughts and feelings. And now we can transform that world through our thoughts and feelings, through creation, sustenance, and destruction. So You want to ask or share anything before we do a little meditation? Okay, you want to say anything?
Is there any technique we should be using it while we meditate? Because as soon as I sit for meditation, all these negative thoughts keeps coming, even though I'm trying not to think. So
Mhm.
should I listen like a music or should I do guided meditation? How do I do that?
Well, music is fine. No problem with music. Guided meditations are fine. I would just say that the guided meditation, it's kind of like training wheels when you're learning to ride a bike, right? So the
Mm.
point isn't to keep your training wheels on, it's eventually to take your training wheels off and ride the bike. So with a guided meditation, it's good to get you in the right space.
Mhm.
It's good to offer you some thoughts. But then when that meditation's over, you should hold your own thoughts. Because what you're learning to do, you're learning to invoke a powerful thought in your mind and hold that thought. So when those old habitual thoughts come crowding in, the more powerful you get, you'll be able to move them over and you replace them with the thought you're holding, right? You're developing power. So at first it'd be very hard. At first it's like, oh my gosh, all my mind. I've heard people say, I can't meditate. It's too hard. I mean, my other thoughts just come. Well, the first time you sit down, I mean, the first time you got on your bicycle, how did it go? Right? Not so well. I mean, the first time you do anything, the first time you cooked a dinner, it may not have gone so well. Anytime you do something the first time, you're not very skilled. But if you keep at it, and that's why I'm stressing. And also at the start of this talk this evening, Anita named a bunch of different ways that you can be supported through the Manhattan Center. They have meditations at lunch. They have a meditation course. I know people that have taken that meditation course 4 times. So I mean, take the help. There's no charge for this. And it's absolutely free. And it's only dedicated to your transformation. So, give yourself a chance, give yourself the help and the support, because it is hard. I'll tell you why it's hard. The vibrations in the world right now are very negative. They're very heavy. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of sadness. And we pick that up. Especially good people pick that up, because good people tend to come in wide open, right? I'm here to be loving. And then, you get all of this other stuff. So yes, you need support and take the support. That's what the center's for. It's to support you. So take the support, take the course, do what you need to do, check into their lunchtime meditations or whatever, and support yourself as you get strong enough. Because we're going to need a lot of spiritual strength to manage through this time. And so take care of yourself, right?
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And just to add, we have meditations now on our podcast. So you have it on your phone all the time. Walking, talking, jogging, whatever. So
Oh, there you go. And there's also a site called the lighthouse.world that has lots of meditations and talks and all that. And there's an app called the Lighthouse available for both Android and Apple. And it's if you search for the Lighthouse Brahma Kumaris, it'll come up. It's free and it's loaded. Hundreds of articles, meditations, etc., music, recipes, all that stuff. So give yourself the support. Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions, thoughts, comments, etc.?
I had a very unique meditation this morning. I usually use guided meditation, but today I was not in that mood. I was like, no, I need to just not use anything and just sit and focus on my breath. And then I'd heard about body scanning. So I said, let me do that, and started with my feet and going up to my ankles and my legs and when I came to my heart, I felt so much heaviness. And then I just kept my hands on my heart for some time. And then I know it was something was going on with one person that I was very upset about, not happy with what was going on between me and her, the relationship. So I said, okay, I need to get rid of this heaviness. So I said at that time, I ask for your forgiveness if I've done something to hurt you. I ask for your forgiveness. And all the negative feelings, I just wiped out of my heart and just threw them on the floor. I said, I'm going to take all those negative feelings out. And I want to replace them with love.
Good.
So once I did that, oh my God, I could not believe what happened. I felt so light. I felt that everything was, I had actually made that switch that you're talking about. I
Oh,
made that switch. And then after that, when I came to the kitchen around 8:30, when everything was finished, my Reiki, my meditation, everything, then I sent her a WhatsApp message. Would you like to come over for some game of cards and some tea? So she responded, sure enough, and she wants to come over tomorrow, she and her husband, and we'll sit down and we'll try to have some time together,
good
quality
job.
time together.
Wow, excellent.
I
That's
felt so, thank you. I felt so powerful. I was like, wow, it was all within me. And for the last 1 week, I've been mulling over it and torturing myself. Why didn't I do this sooner? I should not have held all those feelings. And I said to myself, I accept you just the way you are.
very
Whatever flaws she has, I mean, I can change her. She is who she is. And I cannot be like her. I cannot copy her and try to react to what she's doing. I have to be the person who I am.
very
And,
nice.
you know,
Very, very nice. Good job. That's
thank
excellent.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
excellent. You did just right. That's really perfect. And there's a lot of, once that happens, the other thing is you changed the atmosphere. So she said yes to your invitation, right? Because you said
Yes.
those good wishes. So
Mm-hmm.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Perfect. Nice job.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, good. Anything else? Anyone else? You're all good? So you should feel great with your New Year's resolution. You'll have no problem. You know just what to do, right? But the most
Yeah.
important takeaway here is what? You take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Use your meditation practice to bring the right energies inside. Don't let yourself be filled with dark, bad energies. Remove them and connect to the light through your practice.
Yeah,
And
that's the other thing. What really helps is setting up an alarm. So I set up my alarm for 5 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock. So if I don't feel like waking up at 5, I shut it. At least I'm up by 5:30 then. And that's the time when you get up and do what you have to do. And the other important thing is please silence your cell phones, because if not, then you'll be getting disturbed by calls from here and there, calls from India. They call at that time and it's daytime for them. So I
great.
put my focus, which like completely blocks any calls from coming in. I can see that I got the calls. I know I don't miss them later on, see all those missed calls. So later on, but at that time, no calls come through.
Very nice.
So you can set up the time for that, like from 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night to 8:30 in the morning. Nobody
Right.
disturbs you.
Yeah.
If you
Very,
don't do that, then you're going to be disturbed.
you did great. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, everyone. Let's just take a minute. We're a little bit over. So let's just take a minute or two and let's exchange drishti. Do you know what drishti is? So drishti is a Hindi word, and it's about exchanging soul conscious vision with one another. So you stabilize yourself as the soul, and you hold a loving thought, and you look at the other with that loving thought. And we'll just do that let's just do that for about a minute. Just let your heart be still and just share this elevated vision for one another. Om Shanti, everyone. Take good care of yourself. Have a good month.
Thank you
Om
so
Shanti.
much.
Om Shanti.
Thank you. Thank you so
Om
much.
Shanti. Thank you.
Om Shanti. Bye bye.
Om Shanti.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Night.